Today on Impulse, I'm back with Justin, and we're going to be recapping the second episode of the Night City Wire for Cyberpunk 2077, and sharing our opinions so far. So the last episode covered Braindance as both a gameplay mechanic and kind of the in-universe lore of it all, which was neat. Fun fact, Christians even use it to experience or recreate the crucifixion of Jesus, because why not?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, cyberpunk religions are something. But yeah, they kicked things off by showcasing a new trailer detailing the starting paths. And that was kind of the theme of this whole episode of the Night City Wire, was starting paths and weapons, which we'll get into later. But the starting paths themselves and the trailers themselves, you know, I really loved the Nomad video and the life path that was shown there. But personally, I think I'm gonna go Corporation or Corpo, just because the Corporation lore in Cyberpunk 2020, Red, and the World of Cyberpunk 2077 book, which they shield at the end of this thing, is very interesting stuff.
That's interesting, because I was thinking of doing the Street Kid. I guess actually, now I'm thinking about it, they're probably going to have a pretty good split between all three of them. I'm sure I'll play through at some point all three of them, of course, but I think for the first one I'm going to do Street Kid.
Yeah, starting paths will affect you, and this is to quote the developer, throughout the whole game. So for example, Street Kids will have probably a whole ton of perks early on, especially when you're kind of working with gangs and whatnot, because I'm assuming at the start of the game you're going to be kind of slumming it up. So if you just kind of originate from that from the get-go, I imagine there'll be plenty of dialogue options where you immediately know people and all that kind of stuff. Or can kind of like flex your street knowledge.
No, I assume it'll be, similar in that regard, where you have knowledge of the city and sort of you can do certain quests, like dialogue things. They were pushing hard in this, where you have like certain dialogue options only open to one life path. And I'm sure when you're very early in the game, like right at the lowest rung of Night City life, that Street Kid will come in handy there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Nomad, on the other hand, is pretty much kind of an outcast, as they described, like an outcast among outcasts. So like early on, I imagine if you went with the Nomad route, which for those curious, the Nomads kind of originate outside of Night City in the Badlands, where they kind of race cars and talk about family. Very, very familiar to the Fast and Furious universe. Maybe it's branching off.
Yeah, I actually had not considered that. Maybe I have to change to Nomad. Plus the whole Badlands environment and sort of like country sort of outlaw aesthetic is always something that I'm into.
And then you have the corporate life path, which could give you potential perks or dialogue options with the corpos themselves. Like Meredith Stout, for example, that Militech lady that you see in the first demo there that they were showing off way back when at like E3 2018, I want to say? Anyways, I'm also, like I said, I'm interested in the lore of that stuff, so I think that's the path I'm going to be going with.
Yeah, I mean, with the influence the corporations have in that world, I'm sure it'll be ripe with opportunities with that path.
For further context, Night City was pretty much built for corporations. The next up after that, they also went into the bringing Johnny Silverhand's music to life through the band Refused. Personally, I've never listened to Refused prior to Cyberpunk 2077, but that Chippin' In song they showed off at E3 way back when Keanu came out is like forever burned into my mind, so they have that going for them.
Yeah, I mean, I had never heard of them either, but I can certainly get into the aesthetic they were pushing in this trailer, you know?
Yeah, that kind of like hard punk rock borderline nu metal kind of approach. But to go along with that, they also announced that a fourth song will be available like right after the stream itself. I forgot the name of it, but there's little fun details too, like them talking about how they had to do a bunch of retakes because they wanted to match up with the accent of Johnny Silverhand. And this is a Swedish band, so they had to like retake a bunch of words to get it just right. So they showed a level of care here that was amazing.
That was the first thing I was thinking about when they started talking, and it was very evident that it was a Swedish band. I'm like, how's that going to sound coming out of Keanu? But I'm sure it's great because he seemed to take a lot of takes.
Following that, though, was kind of the meat of the presentation. They showed off more of the weapons and kind of like the gameplay behind that and some of the weapon mechanics. Right off the bat, I gotta say, I think the weapons look extremely fun, and there's a nice variety there, and I think the sound effects sound incredible, but I'll honestly need to like play the game itself first before I can really fully judge this, and I think that goes for about everyone.
I was really on board with the thermal katana they showed off because it reminded me of the sword in Deus Ex. But then I saw gorilla arms, and I really like gorilla arms. Just punch and grab and rip stuff apart. That's the first enhancement I would get, gorilla arms.
They also broke down the 3 distinct types of weapons in the game. We have power weapons, tech weapons, and smart weapons. An example of some of the tech and smart weapons was the sniper rifle they showed off. That can shoot through walls and shoot through cover and stuff like that, so you can really get a early advantage if you surprise an enemy from afar with a sniper rifle like that.
Yeah, they were saying those the tech weapons are just propel the projectile at incredible speed, so you just turn people into mist when you hit them, you know?
One fun little detail was the shotguns can potentially like cut people right in half, and I always love to see that in a game, so.
It's always fun to dismember with a shotgun.
But weapon varieties themselves range from common, uncommon, rare, and legendary. So among those 3 kind of distinct types is also still rarities and whatnot, and the things that go with that. Legendary weapons specifically will have unique bonuses, and to quote the developer, may require tough choices to be made to even earn them. They give an example of killing like a specific or notable NPC to even get that gun to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for running Playboy X out of town to get Claude's clothes, you know?
Hell yeah. Kind of reminds me of like Daedric weapons in Elder Scrolls, like having to do like a whole quest line that has you either killing a random follower or something like that just to earn a very unique type of weapon.
Obviously, this is Fallout's name for the weapon, but what do you think the chances are of that gun being in this game?
Very high. Yes. If that gun, the gun that, if you played New Vegas, if that gun is not in this game, I would be shocked, but who knows?
I would be very surprised.
Outside of that, they also broke down 2 types of weapon modifications that are in the game. You have attachments. These are pretty self-explanatory, stuff like scopes, silencers, etc. And software mods. These could be anything from just different ammo types to various stat changes and boosts, stuff like that. So that's kind of where that variety is. You have 3 distinct types of weapons, as well as weapon rarities, and then of course, you know, the attachments and software mods. So there's plenty of fun here, I think, to customize weapons more specifically to your build and whatnot. So that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Because one of the current concerns I still kind of overall have is just how much of an RPG this game will be. But
right.
Overall, this video has kind of eased that concern a bit for me.
No, certainly. I mean, I always sort of get a little worried when you have these big open world RPGs, and like, I guess I'm a little weird in that I prefer you to have like a hard character build where sometimes you can't do everything, or not every opportunity is open to you because you are building you're role playing as a certain character, you know? And they seem to, you know, with the life paths and also with these weapons imply that, like, yeah, there's certain classes that are better at certain things, and certain different possibilities are only open to certain life paths and stuff.
Yeah, and like the initial trailers they showed were seemingly like super scripted and things like that, so I still am a little bit wary of the role-playing aspects of this game itself in terms of like choices you'll be able to make, but the life paths all seem very distinct and different, so that eased my mind a bit about that all.
Yeah, I was certainly more I got more excited for the game after this video than I did the first Night City Wire episode.
But what life path will you be picking? Let us know down below, and for all your Cyberpunk 2077 news and more, be sure to head on over to Destructoid.com.